Hey guys, how are you? So here we are. We're about 8 minutes away from the big speech from, dare I say, Russian leader. And by the way, how rude of me. My name is Lenny. I am the other Olga from 8 Plus Russian. Uh, Good to have you here. And I will. I'm looking over at the chat here. First, let me start by saying всем привет. Если вы говорите по-русски, вы услышите сегодня не самое приятное выступление на русском языке, and I will help you through it as much as I can. I see Black Cat in the chat. How's it going? Driving to work, I see. And let's see, Johan is here. Angelo, well, it's 1 a.m. and Olga is fast asleep. We have little kids who wake up early. I can sleep in, but she can't. So it's just me holding down the fort today. Let's see, Faith, good morning to you as well. Are you on the East Coast this morning or on the West Coast? Let me know in the chat. Pamela J, how are the duckies doing? And Lena, I hope you're still with us. And привет, Jean-Claude. Привет is the very informal version of hello in Russian. So, yes, Black Cat, please drive carefully. And Joe, you're welcome. We are going to try to watch this live. I'm gonna hope that this will be shown with subtitles or translated so that, because I'm not a professional interpreter. If not, then I'll do the best I can. Let me show you what I have planned. Right now I have it on Deutsche Welle, who I presume will carry this live and with translation. If not, we'll find something else. Some of the things that I prepared for the next 5 minutes. Oh, so in Spain it's 10 in the morning. Very good. Pacific time, Janice. Same here. Over in Seattle, Washington, it's the same kind of thing. Let me actually check something here on the back end real quick. Let's experiment with that actually. Well, right now they're playing music, of course. But oh, Faith, you were born in Seattle. Very cool. Can't boast that claim. I was born in Moscow. And if you guys want to learn more about here we go. Now she's speaking, so we can kind of see if the sound is better.
The coffee exporting country of Uganda is helping to fight climate change with a project titled Robust.
Okay.
More and more farmers are joining in this huge.
So I'm pausing it for a second, or at least I'm muting it, just so that we can talk about whether you can, if you could hear the broadcast. Yeah, there you go. The video is good then, right? Okay. So yeah, very cool to meet somebody who was born here in Seattle, yeah, we like it here. We met here, and we've lived here for a while now. We're consider ourselves Seattleites, though obviously our roots lie elsewhere. And I have a pretty strong East Coast connection, both down south and in New York City. So, okay, cool, Angela, thank you so much. So, all right, if they delay it, awesome, love it. Thank you, RP McMurphy. So, folks, if one thing I couldn't figure out how to do is to watch Russian television like on a live feed that's like all blocked here in the West, as you know. So if you are seeing a live feed directly from TV or from Россия 1, Первый канал, if you see it from there, let me know that it has started, and I looked up some other links. But in the meantime, I wanted to share with you some. There he is. There's the man himself. There's a couple of channels here. Yeah, right. The world waits for the king. King in big quotes in this case, although he's really acting like a czar. Okay, so there's a couple of channels, and let me know if this is of interest to you all while we're waiting. These are these are the channels that Olga and I watch to get our information about Russian news. The really in-depth stuff comes from Varlamov. He has this weekly show on Sunday, early Sunday morning. That's called "Чё происходит," which is kind of a slang way of saying what's happening, and it's all in Russian. There's not maybe he has English subtitles. I'm not really sure. But what I thought maybe we could do is, watching it. It's got a couple hours worth, sometimes 2 to 3 hours, and I could prepare snippets that haven't been covered by like Zach the Russian, for example, or by Konstantin from inside Russia, and kind of talk about it from a perspective of a former refugee from USSR living in America for a while, but obviously still having a very strong connection to my original homeland. So that's Varlamov. There's also Kolezev, who tries to put together uh, specifically from Russian TV. This is called Family Cringe. So he has sort of like the real, really despicable stuff from Russian TV with his commentary. These are about 15, 20 minutes long usually. This is something I could watch, like I can do live actually. Just kind of turn it on. And then there's, of course, Max Katz, who actually talked about this speech. So if this speech is very delayed, we can play his video and kind of see what he said. And he does have English subtitles professionally translated. Let's see. Pamela J says, "Okay, 5x5. They always delay. In my experience, we already talked about the Earl Grey has live feed going on now too, waiting for speech as well." Thank you, RP. Good to know. So while we're waiting, we can go ahead. Let me make sure. It sounds like the sound is good. Let me make sure that the video feed is also okay. It certainly looks that way on my end here. Let's see if we could. I don't know who Earl is. О, круто. Значит, вы понимаете. Если идет какой-то кринж, вы поймете. Понятно. Хорошо, the Berlin channel. Good to know. Yeah, RT News on YouTube. Now, I wonder if it's blocked for me. Let's find out. Let's see, RT News. You know what we could do? Certainly, Zach the Russian. Yeah, I don't see. Is it still called something? I saw Zach streaming. He'll carry in Russian. That's my thing. Um, and by the way, I didn't mean to stream at the same time with Zach, but Zach was sick just the other day. He was sick as a dog, so I didn't think he was even going to be on. So, but you can kind of make a choice. So, but back to RT. There you go. So Well, let's check back in on Deutsche Valley there. Okay. So they're already discussing. Let's see what they're saying. Let's listen for a sec.
Focus on what is to come. He will maybe refer to what happened in the last.
There's Medvedev
weeks
in the front
with
row
Russian
there.
Forces taking Soledar, which was the major success from Russian point of view for many months.
So Medvedev being in the front row is kind of a symbolic thing. You know, so those of you who play chess, you probably already know that it was the infamous castling, where you know they basically switched for 4 years, and then then Putin was back. So he really never left. We were actually in Russia at the time Medvedev was president and that we kind of saw him as a different person, as sort of a Russian, a liberal Russian leader. But either he got chastised for it and had to stop, or it was all for show, or he had a turnaround, because right now what you'll read in Medvedev's Telegram channel is nowhere near liberal, and it's pretty atrocious stuff actually.
Some I would say wordings. We are as experts and as observers are looking for the exact wording, how he says things. If he's being rude to the West, or he's polite.
Yeah, I think that's
if
important.
He's trying to kind of show
seeing
that he's ready
what
to
it's like.
negotiate.
Okay, so they're getting up. So this is about to start.
Signs, I think we
so
should
let's listen in.
Roman, we'll break in there as Vladimir Putin is entering the room to make his State of the Nation address.
All right, folks, bracing ourselves. I'll react throughout.
Good morning.
But I'll try not to interrupt too much.
Good morning.
And definitely afterwards we'll talk.
Dear members of Parliament, members of the Duma, senators, dear citizens of the Russian Federation, this speech comes at a very difficult time, a very crucial moment in our history. We have changes in the world at large. We have historical events that will determine the future of our country, of our nation. Every one of us has a huge responsibility to bear. A year ago, we defended our Russians, and we made sure
He's talking
our
about defending our country.
We have decided
the nerve,
to
this
remove
man.
the dangers coming from the Nazi regime in Ukraine when they have decided to take this path in 2014. Then we have decided to start the special military operation. We are going to solve all out house, step by step. In 2014, the Donbas has started fighting for its right to speak their own language, to defend their homeland. They have overcome the blockade and been under attack. And the persons living there have always hoped that Russia would come to rescue them. You all know very well that we have done everything we could, really everything we could, in order to make sure it be solved with peaceful means. We have negotiated in order to solve this difficult conflict. But another scenario unfolded. The Western leaders have decided not to give peace to the Donbas region, and they have lied. They have dragged their feet. They have closed their eyes on the political murders, the repressions of the regime against our people. And the Ukrainian neo-Nazis have committed terror attacks in the Donbas. And battalions were set up armament was supplied. And I can say that before the special military operation was started, we have started to negotiate, and we have seen more and more military equipment being delivered there. And we have also seen that the Nazi regime wants to get nuclear weapons. The United States and the West have set up their military bases around us, all around us, and they have developed a theater for
Look at her patch on her shoulder. Wow, that's dedication right there.
They have used the Ukraine to prepare for a large war. They are publicly admitting to that.
Sorry to interrupt.
They are proud.
A reaction. Seeing that woman with a patch that cuts the Russian flag in half with a Z, I mean, that's exactly what's happening to Russia. It's been sliced open by this man's regime.
And the Russians wanted to have a peaceful solution, but everybody played against us. They have used lies. It was an awful method of deceit, and those people have done the same in the West, in Yugoslavia, in Libya, in Syria. It is a shame that is on them. They are not genuine. They are not behaving in an orderly manner. They have got used to the fact that they can do everything they can. They can look down on the whole world. They even do the same to their own people. They are cynical. They lie to them. And they have always talked to their own people that they try to find a peaceful solution in the Security Council. The Western leaders have turned into a totalitarian regimes. We are going not only to defend our own interests, but also our position that in the contemporary world there should not be a division between the so-called civilized countries and the rest. We want a true partnership, and we do not want aggression and exclusive rights only for some. We are very open to a constructive dialogue with the West, and we insist that we need an equality in the Security Council in the United Nations, and we need to discuss this idea, and we need to work together to make this happen. But we have always received negative reactions, and there were also concrete actions. There was the enlargement of NATO right up to our borders. There was the missile defense regime, the missile system developed. More and more military forces amassed, not only at the Russian borders, but everywhere.
It's always the West.
No country in the world
That's the narrative that
has as many military bases in the world as the
Spoiler
United
alert.
States. There are hundreds of
I
these
was really
bases
shocked to hear
located
about
everywhere.
when I lived
The
there for a
whole
couple of years
planet
after leaving
is
for
filled
20.
with such bases. It's enough to
But
look at the map.
it's been around, and I think
They
he's
have
built
even
it up.
Declined
He's
and
built it up.
denounced
Specifically for
the
this moment.
disarmament treaties. They have, in a one-sided manner, done everything they can to get out of these agreements. And in December 2021, we have officially sent draft treaties to the United States,
Angela,
to NATO,
if
draft treaties about a security treaty. But we have
I think
been
peace is what
not received positively. It became clear that they have aggressive plans, and they're not
this is,
going
like
to
how
stop.
Putin started this whole thing
such
by saying
aggressive
this is
plans.
not a bluff.
More and more threats were coming up. We have received more and more information that in 2022 it was
whole thing
everything
about
ready to
Christians and
have
peace, that's a clear bluff.
an
by
action
Putin's
in the
part.
Donbass.
So
In
if the Pope were
2014, the
to try to broker it,
Ukrainian
he
government
wouldn't go for it. I mean,
started
look
to
at
send to the
that
Donbass
quote-unquote
artillery
patriarch
and
Kirill over there in the
military
front row.
airplanes. We have all seen the
This is
attacks
a,
committed in
He's not showing it now, but you see him.
We've seen
They
it
show him a
everywhere.
lot.
In 2015,
This
once
guy right
again,
here.
they have taken an
He's
attempt
been
to attack the
like a
Donbass.
KGB agent
They
in the
have
past. That's the thing. Like I think Konstantin talked about it on
exercised terror
Inside
against the
Russia
peaceful
before
population.
he became a high
All of
priest.
that
And
was accepted by
he now,
the
as the highest
security
ranking
council.
church
Everybody
official in
pretended
Russia,
nothing is
has
happening
called
there,
for
although we proposed
bloodshed,
resolutions to be
basically.
taken. It was them who started the war. We have used our force
Reports
in order to stop them.
Man who's getting style or North Korean style ovation right now.
Those who have planned new attacks in Donetsk, Lugansk, Donbass have clearly understood that the next step would go against the Crimea. We have understood this. We have understood the idea of Kiev, and Kiev is openly talking about attacking Crimea. We
I
know
gotcha, Zit Tristan.
defend
I'll just turn. I actually have it, the microphone maxed out. At least I'm still figuring out the whole OBS thing. So when I talk, I'll just turn the feed down. Thank you for the feedback.
the Kiev regime. And as far as the G7 assistance to the third world is concerned, they have just spent $60 million in order to help the poorest country, 150 billion for the war. And for the poorest countries that are getting forgotten, they just get 60. So what does that mean? Should those countries receiving development assistance be genuine and loyal? Where is the money going? But the flow of money for the war is not ending. And the West also supports coup d'etats all around the world. During the Munich Security Conference, they have always accused Russia. They have said Russia acts so that everyone forgets Ukraine. We have now seen that whole regions are in chaos as a result of the wars. And those figures were not invented by us. These were the American countries. The United States have...
We've been listening and watching to Vladimir Putin's State of the Nation address in Moscow. Richard Walker is here with me in the studio, and Roman Goncharenko in Bonn, both following Putin's speech for us. I want to start with you, Richard. What do you make of it so far?
So we've been listening.
I'm not sure why they're going to commentators. I think we should probably listen to the thing itself. But I can tell you what I think so far. And maybe we'll, after this is done, after he's finished speaking, we can go and take a look at what Maxim Katz had to say on the run-up to the speech, in terms of what does he still have left to say, which is not much. What he's doing now is basically trying to hold on to power by any means possible. And you can tell there's some certain unease about the way he talks. There isn't the swagger that you would see a year or even half a year ago. And he talks really fast. That's my takeaways from listening to him speak in the original Russian. He is using a lot of like cliche terms, like something that you won't hear in a translation. Things like talking about the West, he said, they're the ones who let the genie out of the bottle, that kind of stuff. I mean, clearly he tries to appeal to his, I don't want to say to his base, because there is no free and fair elections in Russia. So, what is his base? I guess the corrupt system of government that exists and kind of perpetuates itself. But he's trying to appeal to the people at home, and trying to appear like he's with them and hasn't abandoned them and loves them and all that, everything that corrupt and tyrannical leaders do. Let's see what
about
this
Ukraine
guy's
asking
saying.
for nuclear weapons. This never happened, and a lot of other things that he's just mirroring things that are correct and portraying them. So he's just picturing things which are white. He's picturing them black. There is a lot of lies from the very beginning.
Roman and Richard, stay with us. We're going to go back now and have a listen to what Vladimir Putin is saying in his State of the Nation address.
Yeah, let's listen some more.
Terms that were used by the Nazis. They use the insignia of Wehrmacht. So they clearly show what their legacy is, the legacy they believe in. It is a miracle that the West is not understanding this, not wanting to see it. Why not? Because they don't care. They don't care. They just want to have a battle against us, against Russia. It is important for the West only to win against our nation. And we have seen it. And they use neo-Nazis and use terrorists and everyone they can get in order to...
I don't know if anybody is counting, but I'm wondering how many times he'll use the term neo-Nazis. Not directed at the Russian regime, but somebody else. But he's certainly throwing it around.
In the 30s of the last centuries, they did it, and they do it again. Their only meaning is to be aggressive against the East. They wage a war, a proxy war. We do not fight against the nation, the Ukrainian people. The Ukrainian people have become hostages of their regime and the West. They have occupied this country with political, economic, and military means. For decades, they have destroyed the Ukrainian industry. They have stolen the resources. They have allowed a social degradation to happen.
I wonder how they're picking to show these people. Like, was that like pre-selected? I mean, this seems pretty choreographed. Y'all should see. Our last stream was about New Year's. You should see the New Year's shows and how completely and utterly fake they are and unwatchable. They, started off pretty cool and this. This seems like that. This is like all they need is like some entertainment and some fake Russian, Z Patriot bands, and there you go.
Doesn't serve national interests. It serves the interests of third countries. The West used a fortress against Russia. I cannot tell you everything that the West is doing in order to step up military deliveries. But one thing is very clear to all of you. The longer the West is going to act in the Ukraine, the longer we will be forced to avert danger.
The one guy with the phone taking in the broadcast as if this is the last time he's hearing Putin speak. Hey, who knows? Maybe he's right, because he certainly acts like his days are numbered, and Team Kiwi, maybe you're right. Welcome to the stream, by the way.
Anything to do with Russia. They want to have a global resistance against Russia. This is what we understand very clearly. And logically, we are going to respond to that. Of course, we are talking about the existence of our country, the very existence. But the West does not understand it is not possible to win a war against Russia on the battlefield. And that is why they also wage an information war. Of course, they target the young generation in the first place. And here again, they are constantly lying. They're distorting historical facts. They do not stop to attack our religion, our culture, our traditional organizations in the country.
Oh, now he's pulled out the Russophobia card.
They destroy national cultural identity.
I forget where I saw this, but I quote, the biggest Russophobe is the man speaking to you right now. He is single-handedly destroying not only our country as it is, but within it the culture. Like he's saying, oh, they hate our culture.
People have the right
No,
to
dude,
live
you
the
hate our
way they
culture.
want.
Oh,
We have
like
always
you've
defended
called
this as well.
foreign agents
We
or
are
enemies of the
not
people the
interfering
best
in
of the
the private
best
affairs, in the private lives
artists
of
who
people
had
who
to
had to
flee. I
live.
mean, like, what are you talking about?
But we also have to say to the West,
Lena, sorry, I'm like
we
reading in
have
English.
religion as well. In
Lena,
the
of
books
course.
of religion all over the world, it is said
The
that
delusion is very strong here,
a family is the union of a
but
man
but
and a
it's
woman.
also, you know, sort of like very purposeful deceit to be able to stay in power. I
And
mean, that's
those
what it
holy
seems like.
texts are being called into question. The Anglican Church, for instance, plans to look at the idea of a gender-neutral God. What can we say? I mean, do they understand what is happening?
Hawk, he certainly is, and using projection, and he is using. I mentioned this earlier during the break. He is using a lot of these kind of slang expressions that Olga and I will probably teach you later on this channel.
But that is
But
their
he's trying
problem.
to appeal
We are
to
just
sort of like the
committed to
the
defending our
Russians,
children against
out there
degradation.
in in villages and small towns.
It is quite clear that the West is going to try to divide our nation. They use traitors, and of course, traitors are always just inclined to make money, and they work for everyone that is willing and ready to pay. This has always been the case. They are traitors that commit terror acts against the security of our society, and they will be held responsible. We are not going to bend or go on our knees in front of the Ukrainian regime and the West. We are not going to forgive those who have betrayed their country. It is their responsibility. They must live with this guilt and responsibility. It is important for the Russian people to assess their morals. We are very proud that our national unity is there.
Richard Walker here with me in the studio and Roman Goncharenko in Bonn following Vladimir Putin's State of the Nation.
Well, folks, what do you think? What you've heard so far, and maybe you're listening right now on another channel or something else. I'm kind of a little bit annoyed that they keep cutting away from him. I mean, because they just probably can't stand Deutsche Welle is something that Olga recommended that I use, and it's they're probably pretty balanced journalistic institution. They just can't stand all the lies, and they have to. What they're doing is probably fact checking. Like, look at the guy is sitting there like with his notes and his pen, and I get it. It's not an easy speech to listen to. But for those of us in the West who don't necessarily have access to like Russian TV because it's like blocked everywhere, yeah, the Berlin channel, it's we've gone through several stages of grief over lost Russia. All this is to say, what's happening in Ukraine is just unspeakable tragedy. And I haven't shared this before, but my mom was born in Ukraine, and even though I don't know if we have any relatives there left because we've all moved here to the United States, um, I'm heartbroken every day about what's happening there. And as far as our country that we used to love and love the idea of it still, Yeah, at first it was just shocking, then it was horrifying, then embarrassing, and now it's just profoundly sad what's happening. Sad in the sense that it's all is being it's for nothing. And it's it, I have no words. I really have no words. And the words of this man, not the guy with the glasses here, but the words of Putin are just he knows he's done, but he's prolonging it, and it's costing lives on both sides, and it's just let's see what the pundits are saying.
The government in Kiev is a puppet government, and he's saying that actually Russia wants to liberate them, the Ukrainians. Interesting that he said that when the West is considering to supply Ukraine with longer range weapons, then Russia will have to push even further. This is something we've heard before by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. So this is also the message. We will continue and we will push further and further. We will not stop.
He is completely crazy, and I want to respond to some of the messages in the chat. The Berlin channel, thank you for sharing that you're from Bulgaria. We have some really good friends here in the Seattle area who are Bulgarian, and I've had Bulgarian math teachers in college. That was cool. And Faith, as far as him seeing the light, I think he's past that stage. He's gone to the dark side, and all we can hope for is that others around him, both on the periphery, like the Russian people who haven't left, will realize that he is so hateful towards not just Ukrainians, but also against them. And also people in his more immediate circles will find some strength to stand up to him. Yeah, I wonder if the speech is done at this point.
And according to the Russian constitution, he is not able to relinquish Russian territory. There was a constitutional change a couple of years ago, so he basically boxed himself in deliberately, legally, by making that measure. And this, I think, was a signal to the West, like, we're not going to talk about these areas. This is my kind of bottom line. This is my red line. And I think this is what is reflected in his speech here, that there is only one direction, and that.
Johan, I hear you. It's the thing about it, though, is that I was born in the Soviet Union, and I was raised there, and I remember the days when in Soviet times we would get a ballot in the mail that would have just one name on it. And my mom would say, okay, I have to go vote. And I'd be like, what do you mean? Like, aren't there other candidates? And she was like, don't ask questions like that. And I'm like, then why do you bother? And actually, you couldn't not vote. It was actually like somehow they kept track of who voted and who didn't. So I remember those days. Then everything, collapsed, and then we had the new Russia, and then we thought that this would be okay. So it looks like they're switching to a different story. Can somebody confirm if you're watching it elsewhere that the speech is over, or is it just that Deutsche Welle is showing something else? So yeah, then having seen sort of new Russia rise from the from the ashes, we thought, hey, this is going to be democratic. But then instead what we got was the facade of being democratic. And then in the end, What, even though there is this, you know, okay. Oh, break in the speech. Interesting. Um, Gotcha, P Hawk. So you have different candidates, but you have no real way of, um, you know, nobody has a chance. The way the United Russia Party is set up, it's positioned itself so so strongly to where it just it keeps repeating itself. It keeps basically cloning itself in, and even the opposition is really a sham. Um, so with that kind of setup, oh, I see. So the break is on Deutsche Valley, huh? Well, we'll keep an eye on it, and let me know if they come back. Yeah, one thing we could do is we could real quickly check in and see what Zach is showing here. Okay, so it looks like Constantine is planning to talk about it tomorrow. So let's look at Zach's channel and see what he's. And Zach is live, but what is he? Looks like he's still talking there. Okay, let's patch him through here.
Is again connected to the rest of Russia. We will make all of those plans. Regions of Russia support all of the regions of Russia support those territories that are occupied. He's not saying occupied. And they do this intentionally from their heart, like the brothers and sisters. And again, we are together, and it means we are stronger, and we'll do everything.
You can see
so
I'm a moderator. Supposed to be. Olga or I could moderate this chat, but let's see. Let's pop it out so I can say a few things.
For our ancestors, for the future, for our people, our children, for the historical justice, so our soldiers are fighting for this. Dear friends, I want to pray for those who died during the shellings of the neo-Nazis and the soldiers who protected the territories. Oh, it's just kind of. I'm not gonna be silent, to be honest. Like those soldiers who died in the Ukrainian war from the Russian side, those who were not in February, I don't feel sorry for them. We all understand. I know how hard for the relatives of those who died, the parents who brought up the protectors of motherland.
Zach is doing a really good job translating this live. I'm impressed.
Those who were protecting Donbass from Nazis during the Second World War. He says that their ancestors right now are doing the same. And our duty is to protect the families who lost their relatives and to help them to bring up children, to get them profession, to make the children profession. The families of those who are taking part in military actions the family should be like our main focus, and we need to help them. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit tired to translate.
I wonder why they just showed that woman in uniform and why she's smiling like that. This whole show is just, it feels like such a farce. Oh my goodness. Let's see if they're back on DW. Nope, they're. I think they've had enough of it. All right. well, let's listen to Zach's good work here.
Political ways, economical ways to help them get professions, education. The main important is to help those who are like basically not capable of moving. And I told the heads of the regions to solve all of those problems with the veterans. This fund should be open to the society, and there should be no bureaucracy. It should be effective. Every family, behind the back of the one veteran, there should be a specific social worker who's gonna be a coordinator, who's gonna help that person basically. During this direct.
So now he's talking about how, hey, don't worry, y'all. I got you. You know. Oh, this is me. This is me being new to streaming. Sorry, I was the only one on the screen, but I was giving you Zach's voice. Okay, so what we're watching right now is Zach the Russian, definitely friend of the channel, and Olga often moderates his streams. I'm doing it right now because she's not awake. I'm helping Zach out while I'm streaming and showing his stream because Deutsche Welle apparently is showing other things to us, really important things. But let's get back to what we came here to see.
And go to the battlefront to support their people from their regions. Today there are many different types of soldiers are fighting, and there are many questions about financial support of those people, about medical help. And there are many issues many questions are coming to me and the governors. So basically saying there are many questions and there are many different cases when there is no enough support for the people who are taking part in the action, and you should do something about it. Taking part in the military actions is hard. That's why mobilize soldiers and all of the soldiers, everyone who participated in military actions, especially the volunteers, they need to get the once and a half a year they have to have 2 weekly vacation by law, so everyone will have the ability to visit their families, to be with their close ones. Dear colleagues, we have the plan from 2021 to 2025 of developing the military sphere of Russia, and we are working on this. And I want to mention that our new steps on developing those military spheres should be, so we should use experience we get in this Ukrainian special military war.
So he is still talking about developing his military. I mean, this is the textbook definition of delusion. Like you really have run. I mean, it's possible. I've heard talks of China trying to help out with arming Russia. And so if he knows something about that we don't know, maybe he really is going to beef it up, and that's scary. But as from where I sit, there's not really there's no way for him to build up the military that he talks about.
Reserve of Russia, and they should be. Oh, so he's basically saying after the special military operation, all of those officers who are fighting right now, they should be taking positions in the local governments, in the regions, and they should be the one who should be having this advantage among other people. We're gonna use all of the new technologies that will help Russia to protect itself.
Yeah, it'll be a little tough with the new
technologies,
because there's no, all the spare parts are from the West, and as far as I know, that's been cut off. Of course, there's a way to go through other channels, but damn.
make a mass production of those, and we do this.
So he's been speaking for 45 minutes now, right? He'll probably make it an hour before he's tired. He certainly won't take questions.
We're using business to make it. In our military factories, there are many experienced people, and the more younger people come, that
Tristan agreed 100%. That rhetoric, both in Russian propaganda and from Putin himself, is well, look at the West and look how bad they were in Iraq with the weapons of mass destruction. Yeah, maybe. But why repeat that on a much grander scale? How is that even logic?
A federal company for the federal rent. So basically, workers of the factories will be able to rent. The government will pay for the rent for to some scale. So basically, he's saying if you're working for the military, we're gonna pay your rent. We discussed this question. And we'll start basically accomplishing this program, especially in the cities where there are many different factories related to the military. As I already said, the West didn't just use this informational war, but they also economical war against us.
Wow, they showed people laughing and chatting, shushukutsa, as we say, during the king's speech. They will be identified later, let me tell you.
Started sanctions. They made wars for themselves, inflation, economical crisis, and they say to their own people that
yeah, seriously, what young people are coming to Russia? Is anybody going to Russia now?
So they start working with the Russian companies to turn off the Russian finance system, get rid of us, stop us from exporting technologies and products. They stole our reserves, trying to destroy ruble and to create huge inflation in Russia. Sanctions against Russia is just a measure, but the goal, as they say, direct quotes, to make people to suffer, to make Russian people to suffer. That's like a quote of the West, as he says. They want people to suffer, to destabilize our society.
I'm curious who in the West said that they want Russians to suffer. Certainly his policies and his, bloody conquests are making people suffer. That we know. Yeah. And the thing is, here's why, folks, here's why propaganda is so important in this equation. For years, for generations, as I started to speak about, we're conditioned to believe what we hear on TV. I mean, to some extent, people can tell me, but Lenny, listen, there's propaganda in the United States. Again, not even leaving whataboutism out of this completely. Let me tell you, I can watch Fox News, I can watch CNN, I can watch PBS. I mean, I can get my flavor of propaganda that I want, and I can just make a decision. I can watch Deutsche Welle, except they, oh, now he's making jokes. Hold on,
Sorry. Everything according to the plan.
All right, so he's mocking the West. He's continuing to do that. So this is why we're conditioned for years and generations to believe everything that we hear. And then other channels, there used to be TV Rain and all those other channels on TV that were alternative uh, to the mainstream, right? So they had other opinions that they would express. Well, they were eventually eradicated, and they were suppressed at first and then completely eradicated in 2022 early on. And now, whatever he says, people just lap it up. If he says that the West wants us to suffer, that means that's what it is. Nobody's going to go fact check, the Tsar of all Russia, right? So there you have it.
From the US dollars in the West financial system. And US dollar is gonna lose its power throughout the years because of the actions of the Western elites. It's not us. It's not us who are stopping to pay in dollars. Yeah, of course, it's not Putin who made the law to stop only to pay for the gas in rubles. Of course not you.
Yeah, that's a good point, Zach. Zach can't hear me, but
the defense of
eventually
Russia
we'll do a stream together.
Goal.
We're just talking
But
about
we
this
should not make the mistakes
on the
of
back
previous,
end, and
of the history.
we'll have a nice banter
have
back and forth.
everything
Maybe we'll do it a little earlier so Olga
protect
can join too. But
our country and to make it developing.
let's listen in some more.
And we're gonna
Let's see if he makes it an
act
hour.
according to these goals. Yeah, everything according to the plan, yeah. Some main spheres of economy of Russia is only rising. Hundreds of millions of square meters were built of the place where people can live, accommodation. And making food sphere is 2 times, it's growing. It's basically in this year, it's 2 times more than the previous year. More than 150 millions of tons of groats were collected. It's literally like the commie session. Like, we grazers, we gathered so much groats, we gathered so much potatoes. 10 or 15 years.
Wow, look at the dude. And did you see that? Did you just see that? Sorry, folks, but like, we have all these suits, right? And all the bureaucrats and whatever. And then we have this guy in a white hoodie, like a streamer, somebody from my own industry. And as soon as the camera went on him, he smiled. He gave a little wry smile. Yeah, this is a big show. Oh my goodness. Whew.
More people are working today than it used like a year ago.
Okay, and then we have some spiritual leaders there from republics. I guess from Tatarstan, possibly, and I mean, I should know who they are right now. I don't.
Something like 30%.
Yeah, look at how everybody's dressed to the nines, right? What's up with the guy in the hoodie? Are they trying to show like regular people? Is that like in youth? Is that like what it's supposed to be reflective of?
Accomplished, like went through those obstacles.
The Berlin Channel, exactly.
We had to react really fast on the level of the government, but also on the level of business. The decisions were made really quickly. small business and big and medium-sized businesses did everything okay without our governmental control. What's more important?
Can you guys hear Zach pretty well? I forgot to ask.
Only the second part of the year, only the second quarter of the year had the economical problems.
And Zach is the guy translating now, in case you're joining us. By the way, I want to welcome, I know some of you have come in recently. I want to welcome you to the A+ Russian channel. My name is Lenny, and I'm one of the creators on this channel. You can see on the screen to my right, it's always backwards, but Olga is the main instructor on this channel. She is the professional Russian speaker or Russian teacher, and I'm a native speaker of both languages, I suppose, and we nowadays talk more about not just about Russian language, but also Russians and Russia too, because it's still part of us, and we kind of reminisce on what was when we were there and what we are learning by becoming new Americans. So, welcome, and let's listen in some more.
And right now, it's important to make those changes. And it's getting better, basically. We know what we can do, how we can Russia be developed, but being developed independent. I want to mention the goal of our work is not to adjust for the conditions. Strategical points of
He's
Russia
clear,
is
very good.
to get our economy to the new lines. And everything is changing quickly. This is a time not only challenging.
Oh, P-Hawk, thank you for pointing that out. I really like the meta part of this speech. I mean, it's tragic and atrocious, but it's also comical. Listen to this. If you want a Russian lesson today, listen to how often he uses words like очень-очень, you know, like that means very, very. He's really trying to compensate for his clear failings. I mean, his failings on the battlefield, you know, you can take it anywhere you want. I mean, you know, it's a good thing he hasn't prevailed, but it's also a bad thing because so many people are still perishing because of that. But his failings as a leader, his failings as, you know, quote unquote president. There's the guy in the hoodie. He was right there. He's trying to make up for those with his language. And you know, my training is in psychology, and so we call somebody said he's using projection. Absolutely, he's projecting what Russia is doing onto the West all day, every day. But also, it's like he's trying to. You can see some pacifying behaviors on him, which is, you know, showing some uneasiness. You know, like he's not as far as just, you know, like kind of like doing that and covering his mouth and, you know, like but even like he's trying. He's like he's leaning, but he's the whole rocking back and forth. I mean, there's your sign. He's not feeling easy about this, even when he cracks those jokes.
I will continue this route. We're gonna develop the railways to Russia, to use the northern seaways. And we're gonna develop Arctica, the Far East, and Siberia. Bro, you spent 20 years and you didn't develop my region at all. What are you speaking about? And you're not my bro, by the way. So he's basically saying we're gonna develop everything. We're gonna develop everything just because it's gonna help Russia to win.
Another guy in a hoodie. Sorry, Zach is right. Zach is from the Far East.
Bro, you
Uh,
had 23 years to did this, and you got so much.
and he
more
says, you know, you didn't develop my region at all. And you know, Olga is from Siberia, and I lived there for a couple of years. You guys are gonna see this video when we finally finish editing it. You're really gonna like it. There was nothing there. Like there's not literally no infrastructure.
Something about medicine.
And this is one of the bigger cities in the country, Tomsk.
It's something about
Come on.
medicine, and people
So
have
and
new
and
approaches
nothing
to
has changed,
medicine,
you
like-
know. Anyway.
So people will be able to connect to the gas. Wow.
Well, the Berlin channel, I agree. You know, and I didn't want to do it.
We're gonna invest 4.5
Spoiler
trillion
alert,
rubles to the.
if you watch our next video, there's gonna be a part where I'm on actual Russian television doing live interpretation for an American singer. You don't want to miss this, believe me. It's not something that I do professionally, and it was hard as hell to do, but it was fun too. Anyway, it didn't last as long as what Zach is doing right now. Let's listen. Let's give him
For,
a chance to
loans.
translate. Okay, now I see. So I saw a guy in the white hoodie, a guy in a kind of a like a, I don't know, greenish like camo hoodie, and now a woman in a bright orange hoodie. Uh, all brand new, you know, like they clearly bought it just for this occasion, or they were bought for them. So they're trying to mix it up. So
And
y'all
it's gonna like help to develop Russia, basically.
see, look how everybody's dressed up. Oh, is that Steve Carell?
From this year,
I'm kidding.
oh, it's hard. Well, I'll explain what he says.
I think Zach was just sick, so I feel kind of bad for him. So let me tell you what Putin is talking about. He's talking about how everything is great and our economy is, you know, is doing just fine. But what he's saying is basically, hey, look, the West sanctioned the hell out of us, but it's okay. We got this. No problem. We, you know, we got these different measures in place, and we're gonna, you know, our economy is just gonna be as strong as ever. And this is a good thing that they put the sanctions on us. We're gonna replace it all with Russian products. Sure. Oh, now there's joking. Let's see.
Starting from this year, I'm sorry, I skipped that part, but basically it was saying nothing that we're gonna give like tax return for companies.
Yeah, so that's
And the
his
companies
method.
can pay less taxes. IT companies can, if they use AI or just AI companies, will pay less taxes. For every ruble, every ruble company pays for buying Russian servers and like technologies, they will get a 50% return. And we need to create a list of those technologies.
Yeah, so exactly what we were talking about just a second ago. You know, the economy, the industry, it's all in shambles, right? Because the West has basically withdrawn. So they're gonna give tax breaks. Oh, there you go. That's how you capture this important moment. Uh, they're she's really falling asleep there or crying. I don't know, but they're gonna give tax breaks. They're gonna do everything to incentivize the Russian industry to come back, but to come back or to really start developing. And maybe this will happen, you know, but it won't happen for another like decade at least, because how do you start something from scratch with tax breaks? Also, you know, is it really is it really going to be the same as the course that Russia was on when there was collaboration with the West, however limited and conditional, I guess.
Economy was 11 and right now it's 14%.
Now he's giving the
I missed
numbers.
it. So he's saying like basically everything's developing, bank system is developing. Yeah, maybe the profit is not as big as it used to be, but it's still big. Our profit of the bank system is 2.3 billions of rubles.
Yeah, that's the sad part, the Berlin Channel.
Inflation in Russia will be only 4% soon. I'm actually gonna make a video about inflation in Russia. How did it change from this because of the special military operation? And he says like in the West they have 13% of inflation, but we only have 5% because central bank is negotiating and debating about this. Considering the positive dynamics, we formed the objective conditions to lower the loans percent interests, and that's why people will get, like the loans are going to be more accessible for the people. People's savings are important, and we need to make people to invest and to use their money to basically so they would invest in the economy.
Oh, there's Medvedev. There he is. They didn't show him very much.
We need to create conditions.
Maybe I just wasn't paying
Russian
attention.
to make money,
but it's kind of telling that
and to spend money inside of Russia. And
he's
to
sitting
enjoy
right
and
next
invest
to
inside of
the
Russia.
patriarch.
Everything is absolutely isolation from everyone, basically.
Uh-oh.
What he says.
They're talking, and they cut away from them immediately, but even these yes men and women, they're just so, they've had it, but they're trapped. This is what's happening, you guys.
So basically,
What the Deutsche Valley folks were saying is that they've painted themselves into a corner purposely, so they, or at least Putin did, and so now they kind of have to play it up. They have to prolong this, and what I think they're starting to realize that the only way out is for the whole thing to, I mean, either Ukraine and the West win, or Russia just, through attrition, just runs out of steam, and implodes. And they're starting to realize that. I mean, but they feel trapped, and I don't know what it is that making them feel like they're so powerless, but they're clearly both non-believers but also non-change actors. It's really hard to wrap your brain around it, really.
the government should control. Of course, the government should control the market, but we shouldn't get too deep in controlling.
Lena, you're right.
We need to move to
He's nothing more than a coward, and a power-hungry one of that. And he certainly isn't shy to spare lives just to stay in power.
Business of Russia should be registered and work in Russian jurisdiction. Like basically works by Russian law, and offices should be located in Russia. I have decided to decriminalize my crimes.
He literally say that?
Putin would say. You're welcome for translation. So we remember what problems the Soviet Union had in economy. And our country started to build economy based on private property in the market in the 90s, despite of the Soviet Union experience.
Orange hoodies,
and
let's
it
count
is
them.
right
1,
that we
2,
are
3.
making
Okay.
it in a market way.
I think they maybe represent some faction.
And Western companies were trying to advise us on something. And we were thinking it's just okay to copy their models. But I remember they were debating between them, like Europeans were debating with Americans how they should develop Russian economy. But what happened in the end? Our national economy started to be not gold, but like oriented towards the West. And we were using it as a basically just only buying resources. And Russian business, as business in every country, is gold to make money, to make profit. And what made profit for Russia? Selling gas, selling resources, forests, and only a few people only thought about it. To develop on the long term. That's why other spheres of Russia didn't develop at all. And we need to destroy this tendency. To destroy it, we needed years to create a tax system and to develop, to invest governmental money, and we got really big changes, successful changes. But I want to mention that our big business was developing when all of the technologies are in the West, all of the financial resources and the markets are in the West, and so all of the money started to flow there.
Well, of course it did.
And despite of creating everything in Russia, working places, they were spending money on the elites, like elite mansions, yachts outside of Russia, and spending money outside of Russia. So they were using all this money to consume elite. And of course, he's saying their children are living in the West, and it was really hard to stop it to the government, because we were living in a paradigm of free society. Bro, your wife, your ex-wife with your child literally lives in freaking Switzerland. What are you talking about?
Well, not only that, Zach, but also, like, half the people, if not 2/3 of the people in this room listening to him, their kids and themselves spend plenty of time in the West and spend money there and have yachts and homes. That's why they're like, yep, that's us. That's they're like, sure. Look at her, like with a wry smile. Yep, you're talking about me.
You're gonna, how do you say? It's gonna be pain for you then to judge to go to court over your money in the West in a couple of years. I told them, nobody from ordinary people of Russia didn't feel sorry for those who lost money abroad. Why are you freaking smiling, bro? Mobilization soon. We didn't feel sorry for those people who lost their mansions abroad.
Zach is right. It's really it's really not a laughing matter. But going back to psychology, the smiling is also a nervous behavior, also a pacifying behavior, to where, we don't know how to react. We don't know how to feel about things. So we tend to do the more socially appropriate, which is smile and just kind of like laugh it off.
So basically saying the West, they were ignoring our interests, they stopped our economy, they stopped our business,
Well, and the thing is, like, I think he's wrapping up because here's the trajectory of his speech. He started off by, like, addressing the elephant in the room. This is what's happening. This is the war, and we're not winning, but we're kind of winning, and it's the West that's really losing, even though we are, kind of thing. Like, he just started with that. Then he went off to talk about how things are great in Russia and will be even greater because of policies. Uh, and now he's coming back around to conflicts near Russian borders. So, like, he's gonna wrap it all up in a nice tidy package and say, we're good to go. Uh, Vote for me, in huge quotes. Obviously, nobody votes for anybody, and please send your. And this is like when my mom and I left, it was the Afghan war that was going on, and that's why she wanted to get me out of the Soviet Union at the time. So I don't say it jokingly. And when Zach said mobilization soon, it's a serious thing, and that's what this speech is meant to normalize: continuous mobilization. It's meant to show the Russian people that it's okay. We're going to be all right. We're going to persevere. We're going to be stronger from it. Even though there's going to be, like 1 million people left already, and then hundreds of thousands probably already perished in the war. So, but he wants more. And yeah, I think he's going to get more because that's the only narrative they get.
Everyone should understand that their income and their future should be only here in Russia for the motherland, basically. Kami, bro. XKHB Kami. And only then we will develop economy which is not hiding from the rest of the world. The money they make here, they should work for the interest of Russia here in Russia. We need to develop inner tourism and many other spheres of Russian economy here in Russia. It's meaningless to go around and to ask for money abroad. So he says, well, maybe you did some mistakes building your business and spending money in the West, but you can change, basically start new products, make new money, and to develop and to invest in Russia, to help schools and universities, to the science and medicine, culture and sport of Russia. That's how you will make more money and you will get the good reputation in Russia for the generations ahead. And the society and the government will support you. So basically, the whole freaking protectionism, everything inside Russia, everyone inside Russia, nothing abroad, don't make money abroad. If you ever made money abroad, go back to Russia, spend money, develop Russia. That's basically it. Wow. Invest in Russia, bro. Good advice. Good advice. Thanks. Wow. Super stable. So it was a speech to our business. Dear colleagues, Russia is an open country, and it's a different civilization. And there is nothing about...
You know what? And you know what? The Barreling channel, I understand, and I'm sorry to say, but this whole speech it's a total nothing burger, like he's just rehashing what he has. He's basically clinging to power by any means possible. We thought this would be this, gloom and doom and nuclear, Armageddon, but instead it's just him trying to, he's just still trying to make a sale of what he's been selling this whole year, and it's disgusting, and it's definitely he's been in power for 20 years too long, and he's been speaking for an hour and a half too long at this point. So I don't blame you for having that reaction. Something that he mentioned just a second ago, Zach was translating that basically Putin is saying, look, you got to spend money in Russia. If you ever spend money abroad, come back to Russia, spend money in Russia. There's a problem with that. There's like he's not saying the whole thing. If you lived in the West and spend money in the West and you disagree with Russia and you come back now, you're not going to be, welcome to spend money in Russia. You'll get your money taken away and, probably get locked up. Think about, there's this huge bank, Tinkoff Bank. Some of you may have heard of it. It was so big that the Russian, I follow soccer, right? So the Russian Soccer Championship, Russian Premier League, it used to be just the Russian Premier League. But I think in 21 or in 22, definitely in 21, it was called Tinkoff Russian Premier League. It was that big. But when Tinkoff came out against the war, they basically they used legal means to dissolve his bank and take it away from him, and he went away to the West and basically lost probably 70-80% of everything he had. I mean, and he had billions, right? Or many millions. There's the orange hoodies. Let's see what that means. Anyway, he still has a lot of money, probably certainly more than we do as regular people. But this is an example of the hypocrisy, even in this speech to the people who are sympathetic to him. Oh, standing ovation.
One of the reformators in Russian Empire, but he was a member, high-level member of the government in the Russian Empire. In the end of 19th century, and maybe for some time at the start of 20th century. He says, among volunteers of those who are fighting in Ukraine, we got different deputies and high.
All right, y'all, I'm going to rewind. I want to see why they clapped so hard.
Russia. It's important for us, the security of people and the interest having your strong position. It's
that's he's a historical right of Russia to be strong. Just think about that. We, the Russians, have the right. I'm quoting. I don't believe this, but we have the right to be strong. What the F is that? What the fudge is that supposed to mean? Who has a right to be strong ever? I think the United States is usually like the world's policeman, and trying to do good in the world. But they speak from position of soft power, where they show by example why, for the most part, this is a good place to be, to live, to exist. Russia has no such inherent power, and yet he thinks it does, and that's the problem right there. And they gave a standing ovation to that. Ay.
Develop an art imperialism. Yeah, imperialism. That's your art, bro. Imperialism. That's your art, not avant-gardism. Don't say that smart words. You are not a smart, bro. So we need not to wake the society up like this, but we need to make them show those best qualities.
Original Original hoodie wearer, the guy in the white hoodie.
Developing the culture sphere
He's still around.
of developing the Donbass.
Wonder if it's
They
possible
need
to leave the speech
restore hundreds
without
of cultural buildings in Donbass, museums. What makes
without
people to
repercussions.
remember the connection between today and the history, and to connect it with our future. So they will be able to feel connection to something bigger, to the great historical Russia. So basically he says we need to restore museums in Donetsk, so people in Donetsk will remember, like, oh, that they are part of big Russia. We need... Is he saying about Donbass or just Russia? We have a really smart, talented generation which is ready to develop Russian technology. Bro, every second, like 50% of young Russians wants to leave. Even some of my friends who were out of politics, they are considering every single possibility to leave. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
So, Zach,
He's saying many young people are helping Donbass to develop, and they are doing it courageously to develop.
Zach is clearly hurting listening to this, and he's also physically hurting. Looks like he's sick. But look, he is, and his friends in Russia. I mean, it's a subset. There are, watching the other thing that I was, one of the things I was hoping to show you at some point is this channel here is 1420. And this guy right here, also Zahar, which is Zach, outside of this guy that they interviewed in Moscow, I haven't heard a whole lot of, young people are really mixed in how they are reacting to this. And so that's who Putin is speaking to. He is hopeful that he hasn't lost some of these other young people who are kind of like
growing up was very difficult.
So of course we have commercials. In America we call them undecided voters. I keep going back to that. I have this, like, I've lived in the West for so long that I'm kind of, my jumping off point is very democratic, but Putin is appealing to, we started off thinking that he's talking to his base, the babushkas, right? Babushkas who are sitting at home and watching TV. No need to convert them. They're all in. But maybe the grandmas who are not watching TV and still remember World War II. Maybe it's the young people who have friends like Zach, but at the same time are watching television, are buying into the propaganda, and starting to think, like, which way should we go? Because he knows that if he loses the majority, this 50 or 60% of the people who are apolitical and who don't want to, don't want to be a part of it and just want to go on about their business, if he loses them, it's all over. So that's who he's appealing to. He's appealing to people who are on the brink but are still holding on. And he's doing it by all these things and bringing up history, and we're supposed to be strong and joking.
We need less people in humanitarian spheres, but we need more people in technical spheres. So they would create more tanks, I guess, more AKs, more arms. That's basically what he's saying. So he's saying those colleges should teach students considering the interest of economy. in next 5 years, we need to prepare 1 million specialists for electronical sphere, robotics, pharmacy, for the transport, nuclear sphere, military sphere, to protect the sovereignty of Russia and to make it competitive, to be able to compete in the whole world.
Looks like he's getting tired. Not Zach, Putin. So I think where
one important thing about our school education system.
Education system, huh?
Many so he says we need to use the best from the Soviet experience and the experience of a new Russia. We need to get back to the traditional basic type of educating people. What? Like basically getting back to the Soviet educational system? What?
Basically, yep.
With the time of education from 4 to 6 years. In one university, there should be different programs considering...
Okay, so what he's selling is... he's selling USSR 2.0. That's what it is. Because think about it. Back in the USSR, there was no influx of foreign investment. There was no, like collaboration between companies making, say, airplanes. It was all Soviet made. And because of that, it was, all great and Soviet. And it kind of like, we had a joke, we had this show, well, it take too long to explain. But basically, if a TV set wasn't working, we knew we had to give it, like a whack on the side, and then it would work. And that's how, that's like the epitome of Soviet production, the great Soviet production. Hey, it looks like Cougs Johnson is in the chat. Yeah, I saw that they posted the videos from Belarus. And I haven't watched them yet. So I guess we could watch them together when this is over, unless it's going to go on for another hour, in which case, I mean, it is a work day for me tomorrow. I don't usually need that much sleep, and I can, perhaps start later and work later, but I probably have to call it a night here in the next half an hour. I think that's where I'm going to set my cutoff. And I mean, like, next 15 minutes, hopefully Putin wraps up, and then we can talk about it and then make a plan for next time. So let's see what Zach is saying here.
So they will respect teachers.
See, they're still talking about education. So the Berlin channel, yes. So this is the one thing, like the way we're trying to raise our kids is the value of education and everything. I think that's, carried over from the Soviet days. But the value of what education? In one of Olga's earlier videos, she talks about how the way we were taught was very teacher, what's the word? It certainly wasn't student centered. It was teacher directed. There, she's checking the enemy's Telegram channels. Oh, maybe she's an American spy. Who knows? Sorry. Just so some of the people in the crowd just really stand out, like this woman in a white dress, or those kids in white and orange hoodies. So the value of education is not, it's not transformative education. It's just like stuffing people with knowledge, which is dubious to begin with. Like, we're talking about history books that are written to prop up the, the structure of government, and sort of a institutionalized chauvinism, and don't even get me started on women's rights over in Russia. That's so ingrained that even the best of us can't really shake it. We'll talk about it in our next video, though. Oh, look! It looks like Zach is turning it up too.
To give birth. He's saying about we need to make salaries bigger. It's all the same. He's looping the freaking topics.
Yes, he is, but he needs to talk. So takeaways. We can start with the takeaways, y'all. He is minimizing the losses. He's selling USSR 2.0 because he sees no returning to market economy anytime soon, or market economy in our sense. And also, this is a lullaby. This is meant to put the regular Russians, the ones that go to the factories day in and day out, the ones that work in the service industry, whatever remains of it. He wants to put them to sleep. He wants them to lull them into thinking that things are maybe not what we expected, but they ain't bad. They're no worse than they were before for you, the regular people. And they'll be even better because we'll bring back USSR in a new way. Hey, and so this is why he's looping topics. This is why he keeps coming back. It's almost like it's almost hypnotic. I'm almost happy that I can't actually watch this live, because I don't know if I could. Not that I couldn't stomach it. I would be just so profoundly bored by it, which is really a travesty in a time of war to have such a nothing burger of a speech is criminal in and of itself, on top of all the crimes he's already goddamn committed.
And we'll make this tax return fast, distance, in line, without bureaucracy.
Yeah, he is really repeating himself. Like, we probably muted about a quarter of his speech, and you can still tell that he's saying the same stuff over and over again.
Wait.
Look, Zach is lost.
So you said the money we plan to give to the local governments for the 2024, they can use those loans right now, and those loans should not be repaid, so you can use the money right now to develop like your regions. So you were saying we need to build new houses for the families, new infrastructure, and we need to do it in a steady pace. Yeah, колыбельная. So he says we don't need the regime. In fact.
So the reason Zach said колыбельная just now, колыбельная is a lullaby. I wrote that in Zach's chat because I have it open. I'm definitely not moderating it, but here's what I wrote. Oh,
sorry, I'm kind of tired already to comment on this.
I hear you, man.
We're gonna fix 3,000 schools basically.
Right, so back to the school discussion. This is what I said in Zach's chat, and he actually saw it, believe it or not. Uh, I said the following, a little bit of a Russian lesson for y'all. Это не обращение, это колыбельная для тех, кто начал просыпаться. This is not an address to the parliament. This is a lullaby to those in the country who started waking up. He does not want the deeper lying, the deeper seated Russian people to wake up. That's the end of him and his regime and everyone around him. So he is very effectively lulling everybody to sleep by, both by content and by his mannerisms, by his, just trying to say everything is going to be okay. That's always been the thing, that even like in pop culture. And Cougs Johnson, you're right. Zach is disgusted. Exactly. I mean, and Cougs Johnson, I think part of it was also how it was built up. You can even look like let me actually let me pull it up here real quick. So if we go to Inside Russia, okay, who is not streaming right now, but if we go to the community tab, so what he was showing is he is showing these billboards 21/02/2023. That's today. And it says watch and listen. White letters in the back, black background, and date. So that's pretty ominous right there, right? There's this same thing on the bus stop, but look here. This is a curious one. This says Russia's borders don't end anywhere. So basically, it's all Russia. Russia begins and ends where the world is. This right here could have signaled towards something ominous, right? But no, he just keeps rehashing the same things. And he has nothing else to add. Let's see. Maybe he gets around to a juicy threat closer to the end of this video or this speech.
Dom, Kama, Irtysh, Shiral, Neva, or Lake Yeremeni, other lakes, other basically water things. So we need to clear them. Yeah, the crowd itself, it's so funny. Some of them are like closing their eyes, doing something with their necks, something like, looking at the phone. Like this guy, literally, like this guy over there, literally looking at the phone. Some of them are trying to write something down, but why? It is so stupid. Why do you want to write it down? You will have this recorded. You will be able to rewatch it anytime soon. Why would you need to...
You may need to memorize it at some point.
It's all the time you see this. Or like in Turkmenistan, they all write it down when the leaders say something. Why? It's not 20th century. Dear colleagues, I'll stop at one more theme.
This is the third time he said this is the last thing, but this is talking about the North Atlantic Alliance.
Said that Russia needs to follow the treatment about the missiles. Considering the fact that they will come to our nuclear stations and to inspect this is the theater of absurdity. We know that the West is responsible directly.
At least we're talking about the West now.
Responsible for Kiev regime trying to hit our aviation bases. And NATO were in charge of helping the drones to bomb Russian infrastructure. And right now they want to inspect our regions or our military bases. It's just an absurd. I'm going to mention this. And we are not given the chance to provide those inspections at their territories. And they reject our offering to inspect their nuclear weapons. And we cannot check anything on their side. I want US and NATO directly say that their goal is to make Russia to lose strategically. And after that,
Wow.
are they just going to ride around our military bases just like that? For example, recently, I've signed an order to active new nuclear weapons, and we'll not let them go there just like that.
Oh, he mentioned nuclear weapons.
Their collective speech, NATO make the
Now they're cycling the cameras through warriors, through people in uniform with medals.
so they offered us a new agreement, and we agreed to this. And we think that it's important, and it's important for a long time. Nuclear weapons also, like UK and France also got nuclear weapons, not only US, and they are developing it. And they are all pointed at us, against Russia. Listen of what they say. We cannot not to listen to this. We don't have a right, especially today. The first treatment about missiles was signed between the US and the Soviet Union in 1991 in an absolutely different situation, in the conditions of relationships getting better. When Russia and the US, when they claim that they don't treat each other as enemies. The treatment of 2010 concludes the important things about the missiles, about like different kind of missiles, not only clear one. And he said they all forgot those. The US left that treatment itself. It's all in the past.
What Zach calls treatment is it's a treaty.
And this is their responsibility. It's them, after the collapse of the USSR, start to reverse the results of the Second World War, to build an American world where there is only one owner. They've started to destroy all of the bases of peace which were built after the Second World War. Step by step, they've started to destroy peace in the world, peaceful systems which were created. They made different wars.
Yeah, seriously, the Berlin channel. He'd be remiss not to mention nukes because, here's the whole speech in a nutshell. The West is failing. We're going to be great. And we got nukes in case West wants to contradict us. And so people are left like really numb in their brain after listening to this, thinking, oh, well, I think it's okay, and we're strong, and we got nukes. Cool. We'll survive. It's like one of those question mark exclamation point. Yeah. I wanted to remark. Let me see if he's saying anything ominous there.
Egoistic interests.
Okay, he's talking about NATO. Okay, let's listen. I want to remark
NATO
about the
are giving
soldiers in
us
the audience when we're done.
ultimatum. Can you
Please
say
remind
this?
me if I
Some
don't.
conditions, and they make us to follow them.
Throwing a lot.
And they say we need to follow their orders, and they're gonna be
So-
behaving like they want to.
This is so choreographed. It's unbelievable.
And again, they say that they want us to strategically lose. Either it's this level of stupidity, the highest level of stupidity. We cannot call them idiots. They're not idiots, but this is so cynical to call us, to call that we are. They want us to lose, basically. So I want to say that Russia, since soon stops its participation in agreement in that missile agreement. I don't know how to call it in English. Basically, it's missile, but so they both should have the seized amount of weapons. Oh, Russia not leaving, he says. But Russia stops its role. What? Stops and leaves. It's kind of the same, bro. But we need to understand what, like France and UK, what do they want from us? And we also need to think about their arsenal. Right now, like, they made this attempt to join this, I don't know what he speaks about, like race of missiles. We know that some of the nuclear warheads are losing its expiration dates. And some people in Washington, like in the US, they are going to use it for like to try, not with Russia, but like just because it's expiring. And Russia should be ready to use Russian nuclear weapon. And we're not gonna do that first, but if the US will have some experience with nuclear weapon, like testing nuclear weapon, we will also do that. I see.
Oh, so they're clapping for using nuclear weapons. We have arrived, folks. At least it's not a standing ovation.
Today we are going through this harsh way together, because we were brought up. We were brought up by the example of our ancestors, and we are following their path because of our patriotism. This consensus shown from the first days of the special military operation. Hundreds of volunteers came to the enlistment military office to stay together with the defenders of the Donbass. Nowadays, there are many people are fighting against neo-Nazis in Ukraine from different religions, from different nations, and they are all for our comrades, for the motherland. Oh, I hope it's over. Please say it's over. That's actually the main commie, the head of the commie party of Russia. The hawk has a warm bed waiting. Yeah. They are hard labor.
He's talking about the labor of the warriors at the moment.
People support the soldiers of Russia. People cannot be just standing alongside. The front line along the hearts of Russian people. They send the medicine, they send everything to the battlefield. I know.
Oh, now they're standing at attention.
I know that letters of children all over Russia warm up the hearts of soldiers who are fighting right now against Ukraine. Because the warmth of, how to say, basically the children support the soldiers. Look at those faces. Just look at those faces.
He has the nerve to call it special operations. Still, mother. I will keep this family
Volunteers
friendly.
help soldiers, provide them with water, with warm food. They help in hospitals. Volunteers risk their lives to save others.
What volunteers?
Like organization, People's Front, they've gathered much money to support our soldiers, and big companies, entrepreneurs, and especially their attempts.
Did you see that military person's sleeve had a 1903 region on it? Look at all the uniforms. Every uniform is different. I want to talk about that at some point. Probably not tonight because it's almost 3 a.m. and y'all are probably waking up to go to work over there on the East Coast. But this is why the Russian army can't win. There is no Russian army. There's, Prigozhin's, mercenaries who are really, people from like intensive prison sentences. There's, like the Donbass regiments, and then there's the main Russian army, and then there's like, look at this. There's yet another uniform. Like, I understand that some of them are navies, some of them are, I get that. But then some of them who are supposed to be the same, like troops that are. Uh-oh, are they singing? What's going on?
I know that when he's numbering some numbers, when he's saying about some numbers, I know that he's lying, and nobody, like, of course, among those people, they would say nothing because all of them are on the same side with him. If he loses, they will also lose. They will go to Hague. Not all of them, of course, but many of them. So
what's Putin doing when they're singing the anthem? Why aren't they showing him?
No. No. Thanks for translating, Zach. You're welcome. You did such a great job, Zach. Thank you, everyone. I mean, it was a little bit complicated. I didn't expect it to be as long as it was. It was about 50 minutes. Not 50, maybe 45 minutes. Wow. Ты заметил, что ты, куда камера смотрит, совпадают его слова, тот еще спектакль. Да. Там, когда говорили про Запорожье, сразу на этого главу оккупационного Запорожья сразу показали. Okay, everyone is leaving.
They're literally like taking off.
Nobody cares. Oh, that was an interesting theater play.
Exactly.
So what do you think about it?
Well, Zach, thank you very much. He can't hear me, obviously, but I think we're gonna switch away from Zach for a moment. Look at that. It's not even 3 a.m. yet. I think my cutoff was 3 a.m., wasn't it? Let me go to my. Look at me. I'm like talking through what I'm doing here. Okay. So, folks, thank you so much for joining. I'm not saying goodbye yet, but I just want to say, wow, what a waste of our time. What a waste of our collective oxygen this man is. I mean, clearly we're let's talk about this for a bit. As a psychologist by training, I've done some I've actually trained to do therapy, and I know that you can't just lay all your problems out on a table and then just end the session. You have to process, right? And oftentimes these things tend to come out very close to the end. In our case, there was nothing. Like, he said literally nothing. You were there. You saw it. What's it gonna take to end this war? Cougs Johnson. Let's get it's late. especially for those of us here in the Pacific Northwest. It's not a 5-minute answer. Uh, Nothing we heard today indicates an answer to that. All we saw was a man desperate for power, desperately trying to. I mean, I said it and I'll repeat it again in case you're just joining us. He's trying to. He can tell that people are getting uneasy. He doesn't want to scare them too much, but he also doesn't want to uh, make him feel like they can speak up and speak their mind. And so he is really kind of trying to this kind of like really complicated, and complicated is, the enemy of success, right? I mean, I know like uh, when I help Olga edit our videos, I tend to want to put in different effects and everything like that. And because of that, we haven't posted a full-length video in over a month. When we do it, it's going to be a masterpiece, I am sure. I'm being sarcastic. I'm not calling like my work a masterpiece. But be that as it may, if we were maybe a little bit more simple about it, we maybe would put out more content. So we're live streaming now. And so what Putin is trying to do is he's trying to both lull people to sleep and scare them at the same time. That is really hard to do. And he's not that good of an actor. He's not that strong of an orator. You saw it, right? It was, yes, lulling to sleep part happened. The scaring part, not really. And so this is it's a losing strategy, and it's only a matter of time before he basically runs out of things to say and ways to keep this together. Let me see what else you guys are saying. Yeah, the Barreling channel. It was a pleasure. Thank you for joining. A palate cleanser is right. I'm about to, believe it or not, I'm about to brew myself a cup of coffee. Probably gonna go for decaf, and maybe have a nice pastry or something, because there's nothing sweet about this speech. Yeah, I've been thinking about this question for literally a year now. Yeah, Tristan, he kept his balance in the sense that he didn't lash out. He didn't say we're gonna nuke the shit out of the world. He didn't say anything like that. He did though say, we're basically isolated and we don't need you. If you don't want to help us, fine. If you're gonna attack us, we'll attack you back. Uh, Even with using nuclear weapons. But that was like a really weak threat. I was really unimpressed with a lot of it. Oh, Cougs. Well, if you like the coffee cup, link is in the description of this video. These are available in our merch store. We haven't really worked on developing the merch store. We're still working on regular, video production. But yeah, there are mugs, there are caps. There's these other things you can get. This shirt is kind of cool, coffee loading. That's just because really I need a coffee after this here stream. So, folks, it sounds like there's a lot of interest in trying to understand where Putin and his cronies and people around them, and then the Russians around them, and then the Russians like ourselves who are very far removed from it, but still feel like we're not unconnected from what's going on and from what the world is coming to because of Russia. I think there's interest in talking about that. So it's probably going to be me because it's going to be late at night. We'll try to get Olga in here. She's probably going to be more on the regular videos, but what you and I can do is we can talk about these channels. I mean, look at this. This is 2.5 hours worth, almost 1.5 million uh, worth of views, and this is the stuff. This gets into the pop culture. This gets into the news that are deep in the Russian regions, with commentary. In fact, I feel like with Varlamov is a lot of commentary. Then I mentioned Max Katz, of course, a well-known dissident and obviously living in the West now. He is. Uh, I think he's living in the West. Forgive me if I'm missaying that, but he does have English subtitles, so maybe we don't need to necessarily talk about what he does. But Kolezev here is really great at picking up on the cringe moments of Russian TV. We can definitely discuss that as well. And last but not least, of course, uh, we're talking about 1420 channel, right? So this is a channel that interviews usually Russians, but somebody mentioned that they are talking to folks in Belarus as well. There, this was like, and that's the one that I wanted to show you all. That one was the best of them all, and look, it's got 332,000 views already, which is great for the channel size. I think he's grown as well. So we'll do this probably. I hope there's not another speech by Putin for us to talk about. So we'll talk about some of the other things that are happening probably Sunday afternoon. And yes, we are working on that masterpiece of the Siberian survival experience that Olga and I experienced when we went back there for a couple of years. Yeah, I mean, a few times a month is probably what I'm gonna be able to do. I said on Sunday. I don't mean every Sunday. No way, because we've only streamed twice. Literally, this is the second stream. Um, let's see what else folks are saying. He said Russia is very much open to the world. He remains the most intelligent, thoughtful person in that room. It's tragic that he considered it good strategy to do special military operation in Ukraine in 1 week didn't work. Yeah, the delusion level is pretty high with this guy. Leppy, welcome to the stream. At the moment, the idea is to have to fight against the drowsiness that his speech produced. Autarchy, autocracy, veiled nuclear threats, and the attempt to find international support as usual. No, I agree with you that the lethargy is there. The international support, I think he's past that. He's moved on. He his international support is limited to a few players like China. Yeah, can we even call that international support at this point? I mean, it's China, like somebody said in the chat earlier, China likes to be sort of mingle in others' affairs, but not really get involved and see what benefit they can extract. And so by arming Russia, they feel that they have something to gain. I don't know. They might do an about face when they see how it's really too late for that, thankfully. And hey, Black Cat is you. Thank you so much. If you've been here this whole time, really appreciate you sticking around. Let me go to the big screen here. Thank you, Black Cat. I know how much you've supported Olga, and now you've come in and you're supporting me. I'm glad I decided to do this on my own because it's 3 a.m. Everybody is asleep in our place, including Olga from A Plus Russian. And yeah, we really appreciate your support. If you want to support us further, You can, as the scrolling, look, I even set up the scrolling line. You can buy a Lenin Olga coffee. The link is in the description, and it's also in the pinned comment. But the most important thing is that you're here and that you're watching and are interested in Russia, Russian, and Russians. And, if you like our videos, if you share them with your friends who are learning Russian and want to learn about who we are as the people who are not like the person you heard today and that clapped to him. And even those that clap to him today, some of them are literally against their will, you know, forced to stand up and clap because they don't see other alternatives. Maybe soon they will see those alternatives, and I'm really hopeful that will happen. Thank you again for being here. I'm going to bid you all adieu. We will be continuing to work on our Siberian video. It's not going to be 15 minutes. It's not going to be 30 minutes. It's probably going to be closer to 40 to 45 minutes, believe it or not. But now we've sat through a couple of hours worth of a live stream. So I think we can do this long form content stuff. I'm feeling hopeful, and I'm excited about what this channel is going to be in the future, and the reason I'm excited about it is because of you, because of the community, and we hope to see you again on A Plus Russian soon. Thank you all. Have a good night. To some of you, have a good morning if you're on the East Coast. And I don't have a catchy saying like Constantine from A Plus Russia. Excuse me. Now I'm like, you can tell it's late. Constantine from Inside Russia has a catchy phrase about Carthago, delenda est. I don't have that. Olga and I don't have that, but we do want to say, may peace prevail. Slava Ukraini, because Ukraine is on the right here. They're defending themselves. And as much as it hurts me to say, but I hope that Russia. I can't say it. I can't muster to say it, but I can't say, oh, I hope Russia falls apart, because it would really, just like Constantine, it would tear me up inside, of course. But because of how much of a perpetrator Russia is, I feel like it deserves to be punished, and it deserves to lose, and deserves to be taken to the Hague, like Zach was saying. And I hope it happens sooner rather than later, for all of our sakes, so for the world's sake. So may peace prevail. Slava Ukraini, Geroyam Slava. I'll see you guys later. I will pass along your hellos to Olga from Zetristan, from Lena, from Cooks Johnson, from Black Cat, and from others who joined us today. Take care, and we'll see you all next time.